Okay, in this video, we're going to take a look at redactions and annotations. By definition, a redaction is the action of editing a document for publication. Typically, we see these types of documents on FBI crime dramas on TV, where printed documents have these really big black bars blocking most of the text. Annotations are kind of like the opposite of a redaction, and instead of blocking or hiding text, it may be used to highlight text or state things and affirm things such as authenticity or date received. It's worth updating this redaction video because as of version 23, OpenText has replaced Objective Trapeze with OpenText Brava for redaction, annotation, PDF, and enhanced image viewing. This eliminates the need to convert your documents to TIFF format first and streamlines the functionality. Let's get started. I'll start with redactions, and I will do one simple example and another that uses some of the improved tools in Content Manager that facilitate and automate some of the redaction process, especially around PII. In this first example of redactions, we're going to show just the basics of redacting. First, I must access the record to be redacted by running a search or in my favorites. And once found, the redaction process is started by right-clicking on the record, navigating to New, and then selecting New Redaction. A new window will appear where the redaction can be done. Let's take a look at the overview of this new window. In the top toolbar, you'll have a Save to PDF button that you'll click when complete. And of course, if you want to close without saving changes, simply click on Close. The bottom area, you have view controls such as rotating the page. Now I have to click it 3 more times. With this button, you will auto-fit the entire page, and the button beside it, you'll auto-fit just the width of the page. You can use the zoom sliders here, and of course, just to move the file around, you can click, hold, and drag the page wherever you want. All right, so I have to redact for duck and things named Dilly. To display the redaction toolbar, simply click on the Redact button in the middle of the menu bar, and it will appear on the left. The first icon is the Select tool and is used for moving your redactions around the page once they exist. There aren't any redactions now, so I'll move on to the next button. This button redacts to a rectangular area that is identified by click, hold, and dragging your mouse. If you want an area like this, it basically redacts everything behind it. You can also change the color of the redaction here, and you can also add a reason as to why the redaction is happening, such as PII or financial information. This is Redact Polygon, and it is used for odd shapes like the picture of the duck. Just click a few times around the picture and double click, voila, it now hides the picture. It's a little more flexible than just using the rectangle. This button is to specifically redact text. It's a bit better than using the rectangle because it is able to recognize text. Notice that as I click a word and drag, it follows me and grabs words. If I double click on a word, it will automatically select the entire word. And notice, as an added bonus, if I click on a repeating word, it will select all instances of that word automatically. What about larger occurrences of a word? I need to redact Dilly's name, so this time I'll use the search bar in the top right-hand corner. I'll enter the word Dilly, select my magnifying glass, and here I have a drop-down list. If I click this drop-down, it shows me all the occurrences of Dilly in the context of the sentence they're included. I can review all that for accuracy, and then click OK to close the list. Now, with all the words highlighted, I simply double-click on one of them, and they will all be redacted. At this point, all my redactions are complete, and I'm ready to create the new redacted record. I will click Save as PDF, and after a few moments, the new record will be on display. What is great about this process is the redacted document is now its own record in Content Manager. That means I can apply unique security and access restrictions to this document while keeping the original as it was. As well, because this record is a redaction, the view or preview shows the blacked out copy. Whoever has access to this record will only see this version. They will not know or have access to the unredacted copy. However, as an administrator, I can easily see the source record from which it was redacted, and I can even navigate back to that record. To do so, simply right-click, navigate to Navigation, and then select Redacted From. This is the original record, and what's great now is that the View Preview still shows the original document unredacted, but if I click on the Renditions tab, I now have access to a transparent copy, which shows me where the redactions took place. And finally, I can always navigate back to the redacted record by right-clicking and selecting Navigation, All Redactions. Now that the basics of redaction have been shown, let's expand on that and focus specifically on PII redaction and use some of the improved features in Content Manager 23. Let's take a look at this document titled Lots of PII. So I'll do the same thing to create the redaction. Right-click, navigate to New, and select New Redaction. When the window opens, I'll click on the Redact button to expose the redaction tool panel. We've looked at the first 4 commands, so I'll jump right down to this icon with a person silhouette. I'll click on it and a new window pops up. This window allows quick correction of some common PII information such as social security number, phone number, email, birth date, and name. Let's start by redacting social security numbers. I'm going to leave it selected, and I'm also going to select the option to reveal the last 4 digits, because that can be useful. Note, I'm going to change the color of this redaction to blue, and the reason I'm going to put is ID. Click OK, and now we see the redaction. Notice the last 4 digits of the social are still on display. Now, there were a lot of options, and I could have run them all at once, but because I didn't, let's go back and take a look at that form again. Clicking on the button, the dialog window appears, and this time let's block out email. For this example, let's assume I'm okay with gmail.com showing, so I'm going to add that to my exceptions list. I click on exceptions list, and you can see that I've already added anything with the Gmail domain to be excluded. I'll change this color to pink, and for my reason, I'll type email. Click OK. And now we can see the redaction has been applied to all of the social security numbers and the emails. This button allows a find and redaction, and it's similar to what was done earlier by clicking on the words. Here I'll type in the word James and redact James. And finally, this button gives access to a variety of scripts. There are a lot of scripts already available, and it is possible to upload your own scripts. In this example, I'll select credit cards and click Redact. It's interesting that some captures are off. A number here is open, and for some reason Amex has been selected. No worries, as I will click on the Select tool and then click these to move them around. And I'll delete this one. For the credit card number, I'll just manually put in a black box. One final review of the document and click Create PDF to save the new record. Now that the new record is in focus, I'll click the preview button and you can see the redaction and the reasons why. Here is the reason email and here is the reason ID. One final example, let me redact this record here. I want to showcase the ability to search between 2 terms. I'll click on the Find To From button, and for my from, I will enter appearances, and for my to, I will enter transcribed by. I'll tell it to ignore transcribed by, and I'll go ahead and click OK to redact that section. Notice how it grabs everything between those 2 terms. Let me click a few pages in, and the last button I'll showcase is the redact entire page, and you can simply click here, complete the dialog box accordingly, and click apply. Now, while you're redacting, anything can be undone simply by right-clicking in the white space and selecting the undo option. And you can repeat that over and over again to go back a few steps. And of course, if you'd like, you can always just close without applying any of your redaction. So that concludes the redaction basics and advanced using some of the automated PII tools. In the next example, we'll take a look at annotations. For this section of the video, we're going to look at annotation. Simply put, annotation is the opposite of redaction in the fact that you are trying to point out or enhance the document by circling items, signing items, or even stamping with stamps such as approved or received. Let's take a look. Similar to redaction, you'll identify the record you want to annotate, right-click, and then navigate to New, Annotation. Remember, in both annotation and redaction, you are essentially making an alternate copy of the original record. When the annotation window appears, it looks very similar to the redaction window, and to display the annotation toolbar, click Annotate in the center. The view options are the same in the bottom, and the search bar display list buttons are the same here in the top right corner. With the annotation buttons on display from top to bottom, the first button is Select, and we can use that to move or select any annotations. The button below that is Arrow Pointer and will insert an arrow. Best advice, click where you want the arrow to end or point to, and then drag away, just like this. This button is to enter a text by means of a text box. This is like a text box in PowerPoint. Next is an Insert Image. As soon as I click this button, I'll have access to all the images I've loaded here. I already have a logo, stamp, and image. This logo is for information first, so I'll insert it. You can add your own images by clicking the Browse button and then navigating a Windows dialog to the image you want. I created the received stamp in a tool called Snagit. Just ensure the graphic you make is a JPEG, bitmap, or PNG format. The Stamp and Signature button is similar to inserting an image, but more like DocuSign. You have to set up a signature, your first and last name, your initials. I've got one saved. And you could even make a shield for yourself. This makes signing the document a little bit easier and quicker. You can also add your own stamps, but they are in an XSP format that comes from OpenText Brava. This icon with the paperclip is a change mark. Once inserted, you can add notes, actions, and reasons. Think of it as like comments in Microsoft Office products. The Sketch button lets you add some markings, such as a cloud box or a polygon shape that you simply click for each point, kind of like this. You can also select Highlighter and you can change the color here. The last few buttons are fairly similar. This button is for scripting and allows a freeform script or a guided polygon entry. This one allows a variety of lines and curves. This one, a variety of shapes. And this one, a few different ways to interact with text, such as strikeout, highlight, and underline. Once the annotations are complete, one final review and click Save to PDF to create the new record, or click Save to save the record in a draft state so that you can continue the annotations later. Of course, you can always cancel if you don't want to keep the annotations. I'll save this one first to show you that you can continue. After clicking Save, the record gets created, but note this is a proprietary format. It's not PDF yet. This means you can continue your annotation later, and when ready, simply right-click on the record, then Electronic, and then Continue Annotation. Doing this will open the annotation again. This time, I will click on Create PDF, and after a second or two, the attachment is updated to a PDF file. Remember, this is its own record and can have its own security applied. And just like redactions, I can navigate to the Annotated From record by right-clicking Navigation Annotation. And from the main record, I will be able to see all annotations. And again, I can navigate back to the annotated record. So that brings us to the end of this video showcasing the new and improved annotation and redaction functions available in Content Manager version 23 and above. Be sure to like, subscribe, and be notified for future videos. Thanks for watching.